Burma's military regime has begun a threatened crackdown on anti-government protesters. There's an unconfirmed report that one monk has been shot dead. Backed by riot police, troops have taken up position outside at least 6 monasteries in Rangoon, and a nighttime curfew is now in place in the 2 largest cities, Rangoon and Mandalay. Today, police have used batons and tear gas to break up crowds, cheering about 1,000 monks who marched despite threats of violence. The monks had rallied near Rangoon's most revered Buddhist temple.
Burma's military regime has kept its distance for days, but not anymore. Within hours of its vow to act, hundreds of troops were today deployed to monasteries and pagodas across Rangoon. Thousands of monks and their supporters were stopped from marching. Away from the cameras, troops and riot police used tear gas and batons to hold them back. Rangoon has been declared a restricted area, and gatherings of more than 5 people are now illegal. But some monks remain undaunted. Reports tonight suggesting that groups of up to 300 have defied soldiers to march. The focal point of the crackdown is the Shredigan Pagoda, the holiest site in Burmese Buddhism. It's been used as a base for the monks and protesters. Over the past week, the demonstrations have started here. Anyone now wanting to enter is being searched, and simply offering food and water to the monks can land supporters in jail. Zanega, a Burmese comedian seen here in the centre, did just that. He was reported to be the first arrested. Other movie stars and entertainers have also been seized. Some had urged Burmese to join the protests. Prominent democracy activist U Win Nang, who spoke out against the junta just days ago, has also been detained. The fate of pro-democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi, last seen here at the weekend, remains unclear. The military is denying reports that she's been moved from house arrest and taken to prison. The army is taking its orders from the junta's chief, Senior General Tan Shui, seen here during a visit to Thailand. He and his inner circle have met in the newly established administrative capital in the jungle of central Burma. The general carved out a military career in psychological warfare and is known for being unpredictable. The world remains braced for the worst. Ashley Neem, World News Australia.
Well, joining me in Chiang Mai is Aung Zaw, the editor of Irrawaddy, a magazine covering Burma from Thailand. Thank you very much for joining us. We're hearing reports of this crackdown, even hearing reports that one monk has been killed. What's the latest that you can bring us? Hello, sir, can you hear me? We'll try to come back to Aung Zaw, the editor of Irrawaddy magazine, there a little bit later during the program.
There had been calls from around the world for the Burmese regime to refrain from violence against the peaceful protesters. Most of the concern was centered on the United Nations in New York.
In a strongly worded address to the UN General Assembly, the US President told delegates that Americans were outraged by the situation in Burma. He announced tougher economic sanctions on the leaders of the regime and their financial backers.
We will impose an expanded visa ban on those responsible for the most egregious violations of human rights, as well as their family members. And I urge the United Nations and all nations to use their diplomatic and economic leverage to help the Burmese people reclaim their freedom.
But Australia's foreign minister is relying on China, Burma's largest trading partner and arms supplier, to apply leverage on Burma's military leaders.
If anybody has any potential to influence the situation there, it's going to be the Chinese. I don't think what Western countries do is likely to lead to sudden changes of direction.
There are reports that China has spoken to Burma behind the scenes. But publicly, China's ruled out what it calls interference in other countries' internal affairs. Veterans of other human rights struggles have voiced their support, saluting what they call the incredible courage of the Burmese people.
They're amazing. I mean, they really are amazing, and I take my hat off to them and say bravo.
The crisis in Burma has been likened to the Philippines' people power revolution of the 1980s.
It is like the Marcos period, the last days of the Marcos period. If we had stopped from marching down the streets, so we would still be under Marcos.
Britain too is closely watching events unfold in its former colony.
I, for one, thought it was brilliant to see Aung San Suu Kyi alive and well outside her house at the weekend. I thought it was brilliant. But I think it will be 100 times better when she takes her place as the rightful elected leader of a free and democratic Burma.
Britain is urging the UN and the EU to take a tougher stand against Burma's military rulers. Jenny Lavelle, World News Australia.